Hi, I'm Gordon Wright, partner at MNP here in Ottawa, and we are the proud sponsor of the Newsmaker of the Year Award. Throughout this pandemic, MNP has been working diligently with our clients and local Canadian business to not just help them with their accounting and tax matters, but performance improvement and certainly new technology adoption. We are dedicated to help local businesses chart their path ahead.
So Harley, first of all, congratulations on Shopify being the 2020 Newsmaker of the Year.
Thank you so much. And thank you to you, Mark, and the Ottawa Business Journal and the entire Ottawa community. Shopify is a product of our community and a product of our city that we were raised in, which is Ottawa. And it's very meaningful for us to win this amazing award.
And you, this is might be a familiar feeling for you because I know you've won this award before. You co-hosted the Bobs with me one year. Toby was, of course, the CEO of the year one year. So you guys have been very deservedly all over the Bobs for the last few years.
Well, in anticipation for this call, I pulled this out. So this hangs on the wall of my office. But in 2013, I was the Newsmaker of the Year. And so 7 years later, it feels really cool that Shopify is the Newsmaker of the Year, our company. So it has been,
wow.
Yeah, it's been an amazing ride, and we're grateful for this great honor.
Oh well, it's so well deserved, and I don't think the conversation was long before making the judgment call on this one. But this has been, Harley, such an unusual year. So, can you describe what 2020 has been like for Shopify and for your team and for you personally?
Yeah. Well, look, Shopify is successful when the merchants and the entrepreneurs and the small businesses that use Shopify are successful. And this has been, for a lot of them, a pretty amazing year. I've been saying for a while since the pandemic started that it feels like a tale of two different types of entrepreneurs, two different types of businesses since the pandemic started. It's the tale of the resistant ones, the ones that are struggling to adapt, the ones that are holding on to preconceived notions and maybe a traditional way of doing things, and they've struggled. But on the other side, you see these resilient entrepreneurs, these resilient retailers and brands, and a lot of them are on Shopify. And so for them, they have seen incredible growth, incredible prosperity because they've adapted so quickly. And as the platform that hosts these million more stores, we've tried to keep up with them and to make sure they have everything they need, whether that's new places to sell, like we announced the Walmart partnership or the TikTok partnership, or it's new functionality, new areas that we can help them with, things like capital and shipping and fulfillment services. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to answer the question, what would happen if entrepreneurship was easy and accessible? And we think that would create a much better world. We think entrepreneurship is the greatest way for human beings to self-actualize, to find independence, to survive, and even thrive when times are tough as they are right now. And so it is wonderful for Shopify to receive this award. But really, this award goes to the 1 million and more entrepreneurs and small businesses that are on Shopify doing their life's work.
And you're so right about that. And there have been so many businesses that have pivoted this year or have expanded what they were already doing on Shopify. What advice do you have for some of the companies that are still struggling with this, the traditional bricks and mortar businesses, Main Street retail, that sort of thing, about how they can adapt, especially as we've witnessed really this year an acceleration of this trend?
Yeah. Well, I think when there are tidal waves heading your way, you grab your surfboard and you surf those tidal waves. And I think that's the advice that I would give. I'm seeing so many of those resilient retailers here in Ottawa, whether it's restaurateurs turning their once physical in-person restaurants into wine shops, digital wine shops, virtual wine shops, into amazing meal kit companies. I'm seeing our local coffee shops turn into digitalized snack bars. I'm seeing our grocery stores turn into incredible online food delivery services. Across the board, I was able to take part in a concert at the NAC virtually last week, where the entire National Arts Center Orchestra was performing for people around the world. If you think about that, That was always something that would have been interesting. That was always something that would have been compelling. But this pandemic and what COVID has done is it has forced us to rethink everything. And those that take it with stride, that take it with ambition, that are optimistic about what these changes will bring wherever possible, they're the ones that are surviving, and they're the ones that are thriving. And that's not to say that everyone's in the same boat. I mean, we're all in the same storm, but we're all in different boats. But if if you are having success right now, if you are having if you are surviving and maybe even thriving, find others that you can bring along with you. I'm having calls, and I have been having calls since March, since COVID started, with local entrepreneurs here in Ottawa, but across Canada, trying to help them understand what this new world means for their business. And a lot of them are adapting quickly, and they're doing really well. And others, again, are trying to adapt. And so if you are having success right now, please pull others along with you. This community is only strong when all of us pull each other up. And I think that's what makes Ottawa so unique. I've said this on stage with you at Bob's maybe 5 or 7 years ago. We don't have as many people here in Ottawa as they do in places like Toronto or New York or Silicon Valley. But what we do have is we have this incredible connection, this incredible loyalty to one another, this incredible community that lifts each other up and helps one another. And I think that's what makes Ottawa so unique. And that's what makes the entrepreneurs in Ottawa so special.
Right on. Well, you've certainly been a huge, huge champion of entrepreneurship in Ottawa and supported so many local companies. And so have all the others at Shopify, all of your colleagues there. It's been really remarkable what you've given back to the entrepreneurial ecosystem in this community. So thank you for that. What do you think about the future of retail? That's a big question, obviously, but it's one that's on a lot of people's minds right now. So how do you see things unfolding from here?
Yeah. Well, most people assume that because I'm at Shopify, that I would only say, well, the future of retail is digital, it's online. That's not true. The future of retail is not online, nor is it offline. It's not on Walmart.com, nor is it on another marketplace. It's not on Instagram or TikTok. The future of retail is retail everywhere. It's all about consumer choice. It's all about consumers dictating how they want to buy. And that is the first time in the history of retail. And retail has been around about as long as currency has been around, which is a very long time in this world. But for the first time ever, consumers are deciding how they want to buy. And the retailers that are going to do really well in the future will have a deep empathy and a deep understanding for what their consumers want, how they want to buy. If you want to sell to me, I'm a digital guy. You got to have a great online store. You probably have to have buyable buttons on things like Instagram and other social media platforms. If you want to sell to my wife, to Lindsay, she loves Pinterest. She does most of her perusing, her cataloging on Pinterest, and that's how she wants to buy. But if you wanted to sell to my sister, who's actually younger than me, but actually prefers to walk into a physical store, you have to still have an amazing in-store experience. And the idea that there are different channels, that's not the strategy. The strategy for the future of retail is sell anywhere where consumers are. And consumers are everywhere right now. And I think the retailers that are doing well have a deep understanding of that. But I'm looking forward on the other side of this pandemic to still walk it in to the Rito Center. I'm going to see Indy at Harry Rosen for my black t-shirts. And I'm looking forward to going to Normal on Rito Street to go get a new pair of kicks. But I'm also excited to buy online from La Bottega and from Farm Boy. And I think that's the future of retail. It's everywhere.
Right on. All right, let me ask you then about the future of office space, because Shopify made a big decision this year to sort of move away from, I guess, what we could call office centricity, making that the focal point, the gathering point. I know for you personally, it was a big adjustment working from home this year. So how do you see that trend evolving? What does it mean ultimately for Shopify, and what does it mean for offices in general?
Well, let's be clear. What we are all doing right now, working from home, this is not steady state. We are currently working from home during a global pandemic. I have not seen my family in more than 6 months. I have not seen my grandparents who are in their 90s in more than 7 months. This is not the work from home ideal version. This is work from home during the worst global pandemic in 80 or 90 years. So I think we all have to understand that what we are seeing right now is a derivative of what the steady state will be. But our view, and certainly my view, is that office centricity is over, that we will still have office space, but we will use it differently. And so for us, I think our offices will still be used for things like onboarding and training and team building and strategizing and whiteboarding. And there are some things, in fact, there are a lot of things that do require in-person contact and connection. And I've been referred to as a power extrovert, which is totally true. I crave that connection, but I think the idea of spending 9 to 5, or in some cases 6 to 6, for some of us, in the office 6 days a week or 5 days a week, that is over. I think that I'll be spending a lot more time working here at my home office, which I'm actually liking more and more. I get to have lunch every day with my wife and my daughters. I think that our ability at Shopify to recruit the best and the brightest from all over the world and not necessarily require them to move to Ottawa or to Canada, that is a huge advantage to us. And so I think the future of office is less office centricity, but there will be a place for physical real estate. And while we may be shrinking our footprint around the world from an office space perspective, we are certainly keeping some of our spaces because we do realize the value of in-person connection and collaboration. But I think the default will be more of this work from home, work from anywhere, this digital by default, as opposed to in-person by default.
Well, that is just one of the many ways that Shopify adapted this year during very unusual circumstances, and so many other companies did. But Shopify and you and Toby and the management team have really been at the forefront of so much change in Ottawa and throughout the world in 2020. So a very, very obvious choice as the Ottawa Business Journal and Ottawa Board of Trade Newsmaker of the Year at the Bobs. Harley, once again, congratulations to Shopify.
Thank you so much, Mark, and thank you to everyone who voted for us.